podcast. I am here today in our specialist stroke unit, just one of 3 hyperacute stroke units serving the population of Greater Manchester. And here we see around 700 people in a year. We've got bespoke gym facilities behind me, we've got therapy rooms, rehabilitation, and we very much work with volunteers to help our patients around things like reminiscence and understanding how they can actually have a fulfilled life after a stroke. The very best of those volunteers are often previous stroke patients who have been here and want to do something back for future stroke patients. So, fantastic resource, the best clinical outcomes in Greater Manchester, something we're very proud of. One of the most important partnership issues we're involved in at present is around Healthier Together. This is a public consultation across the whole of Greater Manchester and surrounding area. It is making a case for change that says that in the future health services, particularly around acute medicine, acute surgery and accident and emergency services, probably need to be provided on fewer sites than the 10 at present, with a real focus on specialist care being provided for a wider population. In terms of the consultation, we are very clear that we believe Stepping Hill should be one of the designated specialist hospitals. This is not just because of our geography, which serves a very wide population out into High Peak, Derbyshire, Cheshire, and of course the people of Stockport themselves. But it's also because we already boast some of the very best clinical outcomes and patient experience for the population we serve. There is a very full consultation going on, and I would encourage every single person watching this podcast, whether you're a member of the public, you've been a patient, a relative of a patient, or a member of staff, to have your say about the future of healthcare in Greater Manchester, and particularly the future of healthcare at Stepping Hill. In terms of patient experience and clinical outcomes, you may be aware that the Care Quality Commission now monitor provider organisations such as ourselves on over 150 different indicators. They then launch that information into a quarterly report that comes out publicly, and for the 3rd consecutive quarter we have achieved the very highest rating of a 6. We are the only District General Hospital in Greater Manchester to do so, Christie Hospital being a specialist hospital, being the other provider who has achieved this level of outcome. Something that I think is very much down to the care provided by our very dedicated, highly expert staff, and I hope helps you in understanding why we're so passionate about Healthier Together, ensuring that we are a specialist hospital for the future. Whilst we provide the very best care, both within the hospital and across the community, some of the hospital buildings are not in their first flush of youth, and as a result the Board of Directors have now approved a £17 million development of a new unit to house surgery, medicine, urology, theatres and some outpatient type of areas. This was a really difficult decision for the Board of Directors because in approving this it meant that we were using some of our cash reserve. Now, the importance of that is it helps us with our financial performance. What it does mean, and the board were very aware of this, is that we must ensure that we deliver fully our cost improvement programmes for the coming years to ensure there is no diminution of our financial performance. It is important, however, to continue to invest both for the near future and the long-term future. Not only for our patients, but for the staff who are providing the care for those patients in the very best of the environments. We are due to open our new pharmacy shop. This is located close to the Oak House entrance in an area called Poplar Grove entrance. This will look very much like one of the community commercial pharmacies that you may well use. The idea is it will provide facilities for outpatients to pick up their medicines, but also for patients and their relatives upon discharge. It will mean that we will also provide some of the over-the-counter medicines that you would regularly see in a pharmacy, and that can be provided to members of the public, to patients and to our staff. I hope this is going to be a really useful facility for both patients and staff, and it will be opening at the end of August. We have recently been successful with some of our governor elections, and in the Heatons and Victoria we have 3 familiar faces who have been re-elected. That is Eve Brown, Leslie Auger and Jerry Wright. And it's great to have that continued continuity from the 3. But I'm also really pleased to say that in Tame Valley we have 2 brand new governors having been elected, Roy Driver and David White. And I look forward to working with the 2 new governors and continuing to work well with the 3 governors who have been re-elected. Dementia care is an important national issue, and also one that we are continuing to work with and provide the very best of services for in Stockport Foundation Trust. As a result of that, we've decided to fundraise for 3 pop-up dementia cafes. These are life-sized pop-up areas that can be erected in wards, providing a therapeutic and caring environment for patients with dementia. They look very much like something out of the 1940s, 1950s, a little television, some chairs, a nice lampshade, and they really do make a difference to caring for patients, particularly work around reminiscence. There's a cost to this, and what we are doing is fundraising, and I hope that below this podcast you will be seeing the Just Giving link, which I would be very grateful for any contributions towards. We are going to, hopefully, if we get sufficient monies, look to actually providing a full bespoke dementia cafe that would be on the site in one location. And we've got 2 members of staff, one of our senior managers and a non-executive director who are fundraising for us. Tyrone Roberts, who is the Deputy Director of Nursing, is involved in the Stockport 10K run, and I understand that a number of staff are also running with him, so well done to Tyrone and those staff. And Dr. Mike Cheshire, one of our non-executive directors, is swimming the length of Coniston water, which I believe is 5.25 miles. In addition to the fundraising, Dr. Cheshire has put a challenge out to all of our staff to pledge a similar activity of the same length, and we've got an internet site where you can sign up to pledge something. A while ago we had our open day, and despite unbelievably poor weather we saw over 1,000 people coming and visiting us. The open day involved lots of activities, some particularly for children, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, but also our staff were able to show off. They were able to demonstrate what they do in terms of caring for patients. And I was so enormously proud, as was the chair, when we went around the various stalls to see how staff were so enthusiastic about promoting the services that they're providing to patients. It was a really uplifting day, and I know that people who came and visited were enormously impressed by the work done. So thank you so much to the staff who got involved and to the visitors who made the time to come and see us. This is a really important year in that it is the centenary of World War I. Something that I think many families have association with, and many of our staff do. I am really pleased to be able to tell you that our sleuth in the communications department managed to track down a book, a very important book, in Cornwall of all places. In terms of the book, it's similar to an autograph book, and it is in the ownership of a nurse who was working here at Stepping Hill during World War One, Mary Hicks. Some of the pages have fantastic little pictures and notations, often undertaken by the patients, but also by the staff. And what is so amazing about this book is that we were a military hospital, and so we took part in the war effort. And it is incredible to know that our history here, in terms of providing the very best of care, threads all the way back over 100 years to treating the soldiers who were wounded in the First World War, here at Stepping Hill. Now, we're so proud of this book that we told some people about it, and Granada Television have actually come and filmed various people about the book. We're going to be putting this on display in our history cabinet, which is close to the, we call it the glass corridor, and the entrance to the cardiology and surgical unit. And so I hope in a few weeks' time you will be able to see this book. And I have asked that the pages are occasionally turned, because every page is an absolute jewel. So thank you to Helen O'Brien, who tracked this down. It is part of Stepping Hill's history, and one that we're very proud of.